All right, Tiara, this is that time again. Every now and then we have to switch it up and we have to go from Black Hollywood over to our long distant cousins in Nollywood.
Yes.
And this time we are tied through and delayed. We are left behind. We are playing catch up. Someone recommended to us on YouTube here, they said, hey, while you guys are reviewing this, and this was, remember we reviewed that Ghanaian movie? I ain't gonna name it, but you said, give us a recommendation because this ain't it. Well,
I do, and I recall the movie. Yes.
And someone said, well, come from over there, come back to Nollywood, and watch this movie instead. And they recommended to us A Tribe Called Judah. If you have not seen it yet, A Tribe Called Judah did big numbers and big things. It was a big deal at the time that it came out. It came out the end of last year, and it fell into our lap a few weeks ago, and now we finally are reviewing it after having seen it on Amazon Prime. So, that being said, let's get into it. First, check out the trailer for A Tribe Called Judah, and Tiara and I will be back with our review and discussion of the film.
Are you not ashamed of yourself? You have 5 sons from 5 different men.
Yes, and I'm proud of my boys. They are Jedida's 5 boys. Judas.
We should go and rob C&K furniture store.
That's the only way we can get quick money to save our mother's life. If Mama dies because you decide to be a coward, you killed her. Action film.
I don't know about you, but I feel like since we have been reviewing films on this channel for the podcast, that for the movies that come out of Nollywood that we have done thus far, I think this is probably the best one to date of the ones that we have reviewed. Personally, what do you think?
I think it's top 2. I can think of another contender that I actually really enjoyed, but this is right up there with it. Yeah.
Okay. So I did hear a lot about the film when it first came out, I will say. I'm a huge fan of Funke. Funke Akindele, if you all don't know, is a big deal. She's like a premium actress, actor, if you will, producer. She does all the things, and she's highly revered, if you will, especially in Nollywood. I've heard her be referred to as an enigma, if you will, right? She's just this huge presence, and she's been turning out a lot of content ever since she had the hit like sitcom in Nigeria and pretty much all over the continent and across just different communities across the diaspora with Jennifer's Diary. She's been on a roll constantly ever since. Okay. And with this film, she brought us some actors and some people that I've seen before. I don't know about you, Tiara. I know you've seen some, but not, but I know I've seen a lot of them before. And I would say one thing that I can appreciate with Nollywood films, oftentimes when we're watching just Black American shows and films, it could be just the fact that we grew up with it and that it's not, new anymore. It's no new car smell, right? But I often feel like when I go and I visit these movies from other countries, that they tend to tell stories that we as Black Americans don't often go into. You know how like sometimes like we say, oh, you've seen one Tyler Perry movie, you've seen them all. There's a bunch of people who put out stuff. Shonda Rhimes is kind of giving us some fresh, things and stuff like that. She's trying to give us some different stuff. But once you get used to the people's work, like Issa Rae and stuff, you kind of can see the threading, the commonality between the shows where it's like, okay, this is another 50 Cent production. You can tell when things are meshing and things are related. So when I go over to Nollywood and I find something like this, it feels new. And I'm just like, dang, I wish we could tell stories like this, because none of it is like built. None of the stories are being told with other things surrounding it. It's like if we do a horror film, right? You know, Get Out was like the black horror film, but it was horrific because it was defined by the white people that were in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just like the idea of being able to go into a story and letting it breathe and just be the story. If we're going to do a horror film, why can't it just be we're scared of dust bunnies? Well, I don't know. And just let it just be,
dust
right?
bunnies, correct.
And I think a lot of times these Nollywood films get a chance to just be, and that is what has happened here with The Tribe Called Judah. It just exists. What do you think?
No, I think that's an interesting perspective, and I would love to hear from our cousins on the other side of the world who get Nollywood films a lot more, easily accessible and more regular than we do. I would love to hear from y'all. Like, do you have the same feeling that TeaRon is expressing, but when you watch Black American films and shows? Because I'm curious if that is like you said, if it's because we didn't grow up with it, so everything feels fresh to you, or like, when you guys are watching Nollywood films, do you also see some of the same threading? Do you also feel like, okay, we've seen this story before? I'm just curious. I'm wondering if that's like kind of like a familiarity kind of thing.
I bet that's what it is. So,
yeah, interesting perspective though. Yeah.
So we'll get into just the plot and some of the characters and the things that we liked about A Tribe Called Judah. If you would, do you have the synopsis for us, Tiara?
I do. He's got the synopsis for us. Let's see here. It's pretty short, pretty sweet. It's billed as a comedy, and it says a family plans to rob a mall, but find armed robbers inside when they arrive. Which I feel like is pretty basic, and I don't feel like it
does
all the way.
That synopsis does not capture the story at all.
Not at all.
That is a fraction of what we get in this film. So again, the film stars and is produced by Funke Akindele, who is playing Jedediah Judah, and she is the mother of 5 boys.
She is.
And those boys, not in any particular order, are Pere Judah, who is played by Timini. Timini he's well known. I've seen him in a lot of stuff. We also have Emeka Judah, who's played by Jide Kene Achufusi. Jide Kene Achufusi. Then we have Shina Judah, played by Toby Makinde. We have Ejiro Judah, played by Olumide Ororu. And then, let's see, is this all this? Damn, she got a lot of sons.
She does. I was thinking that.
And then we have Uze Usman, who's playing Adamu Judah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Woo.
Ooh, a lot of Judas. Woo, child.
I will say this. I did like the opening scene and how it established the relationship of the mom with her 5 boys.
Yeah, me too.
Because we are reviewing this from a African American lens, it's going to be told in that way. And the way I would describe this, and you can let me know what you think too, Tiara, is this is a movie about a mother of 5 boys, and all those boys don't play about their mama.
That's really what the synopsis should have been of the movie, because it's literally that. Yes.
I like the opening scene. We kind of get an idea of who Jedediah is and the kind of person she is. When the scene starts, we learn that she is a believer. She does believe in her faith, and that she wishes well. She thinks very highly of her children. Those are her pride and joy. She loves her boys to the point that she's praying for them even when she's not there. And despite her shortcomings, she puts them first, right? and you see that told in a way that not a lot of Nollywood films do. A lot of Nollywood films are very direct, and they're going to tell you exactly. They're going to not let you figure it out, right? So after we see her, starting her day and everything, she says her prayer, puts anointing oil on her son's photos, right? And then as soon as she's done basically saying her, praying her affirmations for the morning before she goes out, she turns around, busts open a pouch, and if you don't know when you're watching that pouch, that's liquor. That's liquor.
Hit the bottom. Hit that bottom.
So you immediately get a character, and you get so much depth right there. And then she comes out of the house, and you can see that she's a well known in the community. She's outgoing. She's loud. She's boisterous. She has a personality. She's just all those things. She's also we learn immediately that she's a hustler. She's a businesswoman. She has like a fleet of, and I know you don't know this word, Tiara, but I'm going to see it. Maybe we'll get you to try and say it. She has a fleet of keke de pepes, which are the tricycles.
Keke de pepes, okay.
Those are the tricycles, the ones that go around town that you see in.
Okay, that's what. Okay, got you.
But nobody says the whole thing. They just say keke.
Keke, yeah.
So she has a fleet of kekes, and she's doing the thing. So she goes out for her ride, and to pick up rides, whatever. She sees some girl in the community that she's helped. That girl, by the way, I did recognize her when I was doing my research for. She also played on Jennifer's Diary as well with Funke. So that was Pashaline Alex. That's her name. But she's well known for playing in Jennifer's Diary as well. And so in this, she's just playing, just a side character. This character is having a conflict with her husband. The husband and her get into an altercation. Jedediah comes and, attempts to break it up, takes up for the girl, explains to the husband, hey, I'm helping her out. Except like the fact you don't have a job. She didn't say it like that, but that was what was implied. She said that she needs the money. I loaned her the money to start her business, and she's going to pay me back bit by bit. This whole thing ends up blowing up and causes the altercation. One of the sons is there. He takes it for his mama, as you should.
Okay.
Exactly. And so what he does is he's like, okay, say less. And see, I'm really Americanizing the hell out of this. He says, say less, I got you.
It's nothing.
Since you want to run your mouth, you try to run up on my mama, talk crazy, and he threatened her. He did threaten her. And he says, say less. I don't know if he had speed dial or what, but he called his brothers up so fast. And I did like seeing the boys all come together for their mom. What did you think?
I like seeing that, but before I forget this point, I want to say this too, because it's pretty early on when they do the introductions of the brothers, and you see them in their own kind of scenarios, and you see the different personalities of each. And anybody who comes from a big family, and TeaRon, I know you know this too, because you got a lot of siblings, everybody kind of has their role within the family and their role in like how they play in their mother's life, right? So you have the oldest on down to the baby, and then whoever's in the middle, everybody playing a role. So I liked how everybody was introduced. We got to see their personalities. We got to see who was doing what, who was going to be about what. So I really appreciated that part of the introduction.
Yeah. That fits into line with what I said before, is that this movie's very smart. It lets you do the work in your own mind instead of, insulting your intelligence. It's like, hey, here are these characters. Here's their own thing going on. And that's also real to life too. I come from a family of 5 siblings. And excuse me. We're not all boys, but we're mostly boys. And so there was like some things that related there. But even if you come from just a family of 2, 2 kids, everyone has their own personality. You can grow up in the same house, eat the same food, go to the same schools, get the same education, and you grow up and you turn out completely different than the other. Right?
Yes.
And that that was emphasized with their introductions, which I did appreciate as well.
Yeah.
So fast forward, and this is where things took a turn. I will say this before we get into where things picked up. The movie is 2 hours in a little bit, right?
It is.
I think that after what we just described, that introduction, I think that we could have gotten to where we ended up much quicker.
Yeah.
Now, the opening scene was a lot going on, so it was entertaining, and it established everyone very well, so I won't omit that. That was fine. But there was some stuff in the middle once we kind of slow up the pace, and then we get into the individual brothers, personalities a bit more. Then it kind of slowed up a little bit. I did like the fact that in their individual stories, or their close-ups, if you will, their moments, you never once, I didn't feel bored in learning about them or seeing the different dynamics. I just felt like I was getting antsy. I was like, okay, something's got to happen, right? But I understand from a writing and storytelling standpoint the importance of showing each of them have their own moment, because you end up caring about them a bit. Or I would say if I watched this as a kid, I would have probably ended up having like a favorite sibling. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because it does that. It does a good job of just like establishing each one and giving them their time on screen enough. But it kind of almost is, again, there's 5 boys. It kind of almost did it with all of them, and that pacing, capped me. Did that drag a bit for you too?
It did. I'm not gonna lie to you. After the initial introductions and the initial first couple of scenes where we got some action, I was like, all right, cool. And like you, I was like, all right, so what's next? And then it kind of drug on a bit, and I was like, but we already know who these people are. I'm familiar. What's next? What's happening? And then as we moved through that and we kind of got to the action, that's where, like I was telling you before we recorded, I actually physically sat up because I was like, oh, okay. Now we into it. Now we got a movie.
So once we got to that point, another thing I want to point out and just give credit to is oftentimes we have our ideas in our mind made up about Nollywood films and some of like the effects and prosthetics and wigs and stuff, right? What I like about this is that there was nothing that was existing with like oblivious things in mind. When we go into Emeka's story and we see him at the furniture store working, and he's with his boss and manager and all this stuff. There's a coworker there who, based on my research, also played on Jennifer's Diary and played Jennifer's best friend. So people know her really well as also. But there's a scene, it's really quick, where she's comes in and she's just kind of doing her work or whatever, and her wig looks crazy.
I missed it.
It's just, her wig looks crazy, but her manager, who's just a jerk anyway, says something about it. And she's like, what's up with your wig? Why are you looking like that? Kind of thing, right? Whereas
this part.
where some films will ignore it, and they won't, they will just pretend like it doesn't look crazy. This movie did not do that. So that I did appreciate.
Okay.
So it's little stuff.
I missed that. Okay.
The manager, played by I want to see if I get her name right. Forgive me if I don't. Played by Nse Ikpe-Etim. I know someone's gonna get me for this. But she's a phenomenal actor. I've seen her in a lot of stuff. She does really great work. So when I seen her in this and she was kind of playing like, a supporting role, just doing her thing, I said there's something here. They're not going to cast this woman and not give her more. And they did give her more. But
they did. And it's funny you said that. So I am not familiar with her, so I've never seen her before.
Yeah.
But I did pick up that they kept showing her a lot. And for what they were giving her, I was like, this is a lot for her to be a side character. Yes, a side character, but like, she had a a significant role, I'd say.
Yeah.
So this is making sense to me now that you're saying, you know, she's a well-known actor and like they're not gonna play in her face. They're gonna give her something to work with, and they did.
Yeah, they definitely did. Lot of depth in these characters here. Again, I just enjoyed that so much. But what I liked overall, we get into some of the boy stories, particularly the furniture store situation. We learn that, spoiler by the way, y'all.
Ooh, spoil a movie.
We learned that the boss, the owner of this particular store, is laundering money. Okay.
Which I enjoyed him, by the way. I thought he was
he's
ridiculous.
in a lot of stuff too.
Over the top. I thought he did a great job playing that character. And, you know, for whatever reason, I'm all about, you know, these characters and do the money laundering because I think it's fascinating. So it was cool to see him because he just was funny to me.
Yeah, he's always in stuff too. That was the actor's name is Uzor Arukwe. Uzor Arukwe.
You pronouncing today.
Uzor Arukwe. And he's in a lot of stuff all the time too.
Okay.
So, you know, I knew he was gonna kind of bring it. And he's very silly. It's interesting also when you read that synopsis that it categorizes this as a comedy. And
yeah, right.
That there was more drama going on here. There were funny moments.
Yeah,
but I think there was more drama going on here than anything.
I agree. When I was watching, I was like, didn't this say it was a comedy? But it was very dramatic. Yeah.
I think
so I appreciated characters like this one that did bring a little comedy to it because it did get very heavy and very serious at times.
The other thing that I enjoyed was the fact that every storyline served its purpose. We get the brother who's in a gang. It served its purpose. It wasn't just there. We get the brother in who's obsessed over his girlfriend.
Yes. Ooh,
and they ride with each other no matter what. Okay. But it all served its purpose. There was no side story that did not serve the main story. And I love focus. Woo. It's underappreciated, I must say. So, like I said, fast forward, we learned that this guy's laundering money. In addition to that, our main character, the mother of the boys, she I believe what they tried to paint was it was through her actions, basically her hustling all the time, her really not taking care of herself, her putting her boys first, you know, taking up for them, getting involved in all of their things. And, you know, just being a very caring mother, but just taking on a lot of stress, right? We learned that she falls ill and she's going to have a surgery, dialysis, and this stuff is going to cost money.
Yeah.
But also the issue is that she's the primary breadwinner in the home. She takes care of her family very seriously. What did you think about them, the way that they went about giving us that plot twist?
Was it a plot twist though?
It was because did you expect her to fall ill in that moment?
I didn't. However,
Okay.
the way that it happened was very Nollywood though.
Explain.
Very, very. Like I didn't expect it, but I was like, okay, this is the drama. Here we are. Okay, that's the drama. So, and I feel like that's maybe a trope in a lot of the Nollywood films of like, there's always this major sickness, somebody falls out, and then that's like the turning point of the story. And sorry, Nollywood fans, if there are different movies that I don't know, please let me know in the comments. Like, no, girl, they do this different. But from what I've seen, there's always this like moment of some type of very dramatic illness. It's never a cold. It's never an allergic reaction.
If it is a cold, it's a cold that take you out.
It's the kind of cold that's gonna take you out.
It's
called
put you
COVID.
in bed
No.
for sure.
But yeah, this is what I mean. Like we kind of had a lull up until this point, and then this happened, and then it was like, all right,
Yeah.
here's the drama. Here's how it's gonna unfold. But was I surprised that Mama was sick? No.
Well, we get that plot twist, but it's the driving force for the rest of the film, because what they did successfully that I think we really need to give kudos to is they took their time telling the story, which again, that's the pacing that was like, okay, this could have happened faster, but because they took their time with it, we cared about the family enough that when this happened and they being her sons decided to come up with this grand plan in order to be able to take care of their mother, you remove, and this is a great storyteller here, whoever wrote this and came up with this is phenomenal, because you end up caring about them to the point that you justify their crime, okay? And then also layering that on with the guy who's laundering money not being very likable, right? He's our villain. We don't care about what happens to him, even though he's the one that they planned out this elaborate robbery to steal from to take care of their mother. We already care about them. So we're with them for the ride, and we're kind of cheering them on. Really.
Yeah.
So
it's very much kind of like the Robin Hood story. You know, you're robbing from the rich to give to the poor. In that case, you know, to give to your mom in this case because she needs it. She's sick. So.
Yeah. So that was really, really great storytelling, and it's because they took their time making us care enough first. But once I just want to get into my favorite moment in the film. Once they get it together, it being the grand scheme, I became, and this is probably where you were talking about, where you finally sat up in your seat and was like, okay, what's happening? I became so enthralled in what was going on. The first thing was the what's the son played by Timini? The son played by Timini. That's what I'm gonna say.
Thank you.
when some of the brothers are together and they are coming up with the idea of how they're going to go, they're it's not if they're going to rob him, it's how are they going to rob this establishment to take care of their mother, okay? And they're sitting at the table and he shows them his sketches, these elaborate like masks that he plans on. I was like, dude. But I liked it because he's the artist of the family. He's not just going to give you, you know, some plain idea like, here, what if we wear this? He's like, no, let me sketch this out.
Right. Correct. And that goes back to everybody playing their role.
Exactly. There was no wasted, even though it's digital now, there was no wasted film. Everything was there for a reason. And that I can't, you know, express my gratitude for that enough. But you know, just little stuff like that when they're just trying to figure out how they're going to go about doing it. I was in it at that point. What about you?
Yeah, no, exactly. That was the point where I sat up and I was like, okay, all right, now we about to get into it. Because again, we had gotten through, you know, some of the melodramatics, and then we got to the point where it was like, all right, we got some action. This is what we're here for. Again, I was still kind of like looking for the comedy in it because I was like, y'all said this was a comedy, but I was here for it. Yeah. I was ready from this point.
So another thing I want to note before we get into this robbery scene is the prosthetics. I want to say this. We spoke about the wigs being acknowledged and stuff like this, whatever. The budget was there, okay? They spent money making sure that if someone got wounded, it made sense. So there's a point where the brother Timini, he's stealing all the time, okay? And he gets caught up with some guys outside, and his mom comes to save him. Through that, he ends up getting a bunch of nicks and bruises and cuts, okay? What I can appreciate, and I don't know if you noticed this, it's very subtle. He got a gash on the side of his head. Later in the film, the gash becomes like just a scab. That pleased me so.
You mean like because it wasn't gone in the next thing?
Yes, that pleased me so. There's so many movies that have a knack for pretending that a serious wound just is going to heal so fast. Like, is this X-Men? Are you all just like healing like that? And
No,
this
that's real.
movie
That's
was
real.
like, hey, here's his gash. And also it's a good way to kind of move a story forward so you kind of know where you are in a story. Is that wound, an open wound like that is not going to heal so fast. I appreciated the hell out of that. I just want to point that out. I don't know if you noticed that.
I did not, but we like that. I really like that.
So now we get into my favorite scene of the film.
Yeah.
And that is once the plot comes together, the scheme comes together, and the boys go to this costume party.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't
loved
even remember how we got. Where was this costume party at?
It was at some club, right?
But I didn't like. Was that in the same location as the shopping
At the
mall?
robbery? I don't think so.
Okay, that.
But then again, I don't know, because stuff. I don't know. It could be.
It was just a lot going on at that point.
It was.
But I can say that I appreciated the. See, you rubbing off on me with my appreciation. I just enjoyed the fact that they went there completely with the costumes. The costume party, seeing them move and dance around and do all the just little stuff. That was the comedy.
Yeah, I agree. Now, this whole scene was comedic. I think the dialogue was really funny. The dancing was funny. And just like seeing them with these masks on and these absurd costumes, having the conversation. This scene was really funny.
Yes,
I did enjoy it.
yes,
Yeah.
that was. It just worked out so well. They even seen the girl who played Testimony, one of the boys' girlfriend. She was at the party too, but she was fully covered. And then they said something to her. She was like, "Oh no, that's not me.
That ain't me. Gotta go."
It's you. But again, even speaking to her character being there, it was not just a girlfriend that existed in the movie just because. Her role played an important point because it's like, okay, she helps them in the end, but it's only because she's so obsessed with her boyfriend that she's not going to let him be at this party doing whatever about it, Yeah. So it's like, it makes sense. Everything just made sense.
Yeah.
So anyhow, they go to this party. Everyone's fully masked, so that makes sense. They're not just going around town wearing masks for no reason. Again,
Right.
Great storytelling. And then we get into the point where they break into the shopping mall and they attempt to take this money. Tiara, once everyone learned what the stake was and that there were millions of dollars meaning US dollars, possible.
USDs.
Nobody cared about anything else. There was like dollars.
Dollars.
Wait. Dollars?
Zolas, okay?
I enjoyed watching them go into the furniture store. Some of the stuff like with breaking the cameras, I overlooked because, whatever.
Come on, overlook.
I overlooked, it would have, the cameras popped off the wall so easily. That's what I mean. But it's possible.
It is, especially when you have a lot of adrenaline going through you. It might be easy to take a camera down. I don't know. You never know.
then so they're in there. They're doing their thing. The clown is a lookout. I also shout out to the brother who was dressed up like Lakbaja, who I told you I recently learned about was a masked musician. Nigerian musician from the 90s.
That's right.
And so they kind of did a nod to that, if you know, kind of thing. So that was pretty cool. But then the other plot twist came in the form of not a rival gang, but a group of other people who also decided that they were going to get dressed up in masks, come to the same place around the same time, and they were going to steal all those dollars.
Yes. Now, this to me was the plot twist. This was the moment because I was like, wait a minute, hold up. New group. Okay, what's going on? This to me was it. I was like, all right. And the party scene was good, and I did enjoy the party scene. But this was probably my favorite scene of the movie, the whole action of it all. Because I don't know why, but I kind of expected them to be, sorry, y'all. I felt like the brothers were going to be a little soft, but they weren't soft. They was ready. Ready for the action. I said, yes, do this for mama.
That's really what amped it up. Because even the you know, the closest mother's boy, or the, you know, the ones that you wouldn't expect to go there, was like, oh no, this is about mama. Bet.
Get to the business.
I'm ready.
Yes.
Because you expected the brother, you know, him being with his gang friends, you expected him to be ready. He was like, okay, this is what I do. But the other ones, you kind of like, okay, maybe somebody.
I was like, they're a little soft.
No, it's about mama. We show up.
Ready.
I just love that. I love that. As someone who loves their mama, I love that. But the action of it all, I would say I thoroughly enjoyed watching the other gang come in their style of mask, because they had the LED mask, right? Yeah. But the one in particular that got me laughing were the eyes.
The eyeballs. I knew you were going to say that.
That was genius.
Because then in my head, I'm like, are the eyeballs like following the motion of his actual eyeballs, or are they just eyeballs?
They weren't, but it was so perfect, because they were like, you know, like, wait, what's that? And all you see is those little eyes, like
eyeballs.
That was so good. That was so good. The action scenes were choreographed great. And it went on long enough that, because you know, some action sequences can be like so fast paced that you miss out. But it was fast paced, but it lasted long enough that you got your feel out of it. If this was the only action in the movie, you enjoyed it thoroughly, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So after that all dies down and they're escaping, which, by the way, I feel like they just got greedy. That's just me.
It happens. It happens.
When they had that first bag of money, I was like, where's everybody at?
No.
It's time to go.
Yeah.
Put that in the trunk. Let's go. And then when they catch up to the brother and they shoot him in the back, at this point, I'm so in it. I'm so established. I know the characters because y'all took so long letting us learn each character.
Yes.
So I'm invested. We know each other. That when he got shot, I was like, I think I even went like this. So we get. I didn't think they would go there. I didn't think any of them would die.
That's surprising.
But they went there. But all of it was for the sake of their mother, and the way that she cared for them, they cared that much for her back. Once we get to the end, though, I was not pleased with how it ended. I was not pleased.
Tell me why.
So, everything comes to a head. We have the manager, who is revealed as the rival gang who was also trying to rob the place. She's rolling with them. And she's being interrogated by the boss, who he's laundering money. So he's obviously in that life. And, you know, that scene lasted a little long for me. But also, by the time that they sent the police were on board trying to figure out what's going on, and, you know, catching the guys on the streets and things like that. Fine. Once it got to a point where they were going to get on that boat and go to wherever they were going just to get away. And then it ended right there.
It did.
Here's the questions that I had at the end. What about the brother who died? What are we doing with him? You know, where's his body? Is he going to be laid to rest, et cetera, et cetera? And then where are y'all going? That was my question. Where are y'all going? What's the resolve? I don't feel like we ended well.
So I'm not gonna lie, I had to rewind the end because I thought I missed the where are we going?
You didn't.
I thought that they talked about that and I just missed it. So I was like, let me rewind it.
You didn't.
I didn't miss it.
So overall, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the film. I appreciated where it went. The amount of depth, again, for some reason we don't anticipate this kind of storytelling in a Nollywood film. I expected it to be a bit more kooky, a bit more silly, and it was none of those things. So I thoroughly enjoyed that. And again, they didn't waste any film. None of my time was wasted getting to know the characters because I saw the reasons for everything. And I found it difficult to poke holes in it other than the fact that it dragged in the beginning there and then that it ended so abruptly. Those were my only two issues. Everything else was pretty solid. They did their number with this. I see why it did as well as it did for that arena. I am going to have to, this is a bit apropos, but I'm going to have to go ahead and give the movie a Funke Akindele. I'm just going to have to do that.
Oh, no, you're just doing that.
I'm saying it really had the potential to be a Sola, but I did not want to go all the way there. Only because I felt like the end could have kind of been a bit more tied up. And then the pacing, we could have got to the party and all the things a bit quicker. So for those reasons, I'm just like, okay, it was almost there. But yeah, I'm going to give it a Funke. What about you?
All right. So that's fair enough. Okay. Fair enough. So for me, I also wished we got to the business a little sooner. There was a lot going on up front that I feel like wasn't necessary, but I did enjoy getting to know the characters and learning the personalities and seeing their interactions with each other, the family dynamics amongst them, but then also with their mother. So I like seeing that. I just was like, went on a little too long. I'm still like cracking up at the end part because again, I really thought I missed it. I was like,
you didn't.
What happened? And that was disappointing because for most of the film, like you were saying, the storylines were making sense. Everything was lining up. So it was shocking to me that it ended in the way that it ended. It was kind of like they were tired and they were like, listen, this is the end, y'all. Like, this is all we got. We forgot about the rest. Again, the wigs and all those things were cool. Like the one wig you were talking about, I clearly missed that part. So for me, the wigs were fine and weren't as absurd as some of the ones that we've seen. Yeah, like it was cool. The action scene, I really liked the action scene. It was so well done, very well choreographed. And it wasn't cheesy. It could have got cheesy real quick, especially with them wearing the masks and the costumes and that whole bit. It could have got real goofy real fast and it never really got there. So I appreciate that they did that. So for me, I think would I watch this again? Maybe. I might watch it with a different lens now, knowing that all these people in this are pretty famous and pretty well known. You've mentioned them before.
Yeah.
So I am going to give it a pawpaw.
Fair enough. I had a good time with this. I really did. And this, when I say let's go Nollywood, this is what I mean. The bar has been raised up, y'all. And so anything else y'all recommend to us when we go and visit our cousins, make sure you're bringing it because these are the kinds of things we are now putting you up against in our minds.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
Give it to us, okay? If you've been watching for this long, go ahead and hit the like button. You should have done that already at the beginning because what's not to like? And then hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed so you can be notified of everything going on here on this channel. And also hit the notification bell. That way the notification going to pop up right there on your device. You ain't got to go searching for it. And then when it pops up, click the button. Come over here and watch us and check us out. If you have any recommendations, please give them to us. I am TeaRon. You can find me on Instagram at TeaRon World. On TikTok at TeaRon with 2 underscores on the end. And you can find Ubiquitous Blacks all over the socials at Ubiquitous Blacks. And for those recommendations, conversations, everything but humiliations, we won't accept that. Email us, ubiquitousblacks@gmail.com. Tiara, where can they find you?
I'm sorry. I wasn't ready for no humiliation. I like that though. Okay. You keep me on my toes. All right. You guys can find me on my website. It's at tiaratakes.com, but also come over to my YouTube channel and say hello. I'm doing travel content there, and that is also at tiaratakes. My website has all my socials and every other way to contact me as well. And I'm going to echo TeaRon like I always do. Please send recommendations and suggestions our way. We are looking for new content to explore from our cousins all over the world. So let us know what y'all are watching and what we should be reviewing. We would love to have a chance to talk about the stuff that y'all like. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I had fun with this one. I had fun, Tiara, with you. And until we do this again, peace out, everybody.